Hello, I'm here being Darui in my Darugi to tell you about the word Darugi. So, Darugi is a Japanese term for sweatshirts, sweatpants, any kind of outfit that doesn't really require any effort or time that you put on because you really can't be bothered to put time and effort into your outfit, at least traditionally. So this term is obviously a play on darui, which means to be kind of listless, lacking energy, etc. Darui itself has become a bit of a slang term recently, as it's evolved to be something people say not when they're listless or lacking energy, but when they don't like something, when they find it kind of unpleasant. In the video I'll just show you now, you can see they're not saying it because they're tired, they're saying it because they're sick of something. They're tired of something.
財布落としただるすぎ。
ガチでだるいわら、承認欲求の塊女の子。
And this is kind of a recent use. But darugi just takes the e off of it and replaces it with gi used for clothing in words like heiagi, right, which is clothing that you wear at home. And there's not much difference, at least traditionally, between heiagi and darugi, except that you generally use darugi to kind of go out. This post in 2012 from Yahoo Chiebukuro, for instance, describes it as kino nukata, or like listless without effort clothing, and even refers to going outside with like no makeup or even in your nightwear as examples of darugi. Now, according to Google Trends, 2012 is when this term kind of started seeing real use, but I can find uses back to 2010. And these, importantly, so for the introductory use of this term, are not necessarily negative, but always kind of lazy, like they have the clear implication that you couldn't be bothered. The first person, for instance, is complaining about a woman in darugi who critiqued them for not wearing makeup. This person is noting that they like where they are because they can wear darugi, but the reason is that there's no one fashionable around them. So darugi are contrasted specifically with like being well dressed. And this person notes that if they don't decide on an outfit, they'll just end up in darugi, so that's like a bad thing. Although the last person does say, hey, when you come to my house, make sure you're wearing your darugi because we're going to chill, and it's great for that kind of chilling thing. Over time, though, darugi has kind of evolved a little bit. This traditional kind of negative or embarrassed use is still there. For instance, in this post from 2025, somebody is describing an advertisement for clothing as good because the clothing doesn't look like darugi. Like, the design helps people be aware that you are intentionally wearing them rather than just being lazy. And here, the guitarist for the Japanese gent band Paramena notes that they didn't take any darugi to Wacken Open Air, a big metal concert where they're performing, because they thought they could have their picture taken any time, and as a result, they're standing out in the photos because everyone else is, dressed in general slovenly metal clothing. But you are seeing people post pictures of darugi that are obviously quite expensive and designed to be stuff that you wear out, as well as people using darugi to describe clothing that is obviously quite easy to wear and often quite comfy looking, but isn't just like pajamas, a t-shirt, the kind of general stuff that people initially assumed. Indeed, there's even posts like this one here where people say they're doing darugi kode, and that coordination, right? Matching your accessories to your darugi is way more effort than darugi initially had when the term was first being developed. So while you could still see people saying, darugi shukin for like going to work in my casual, in my t-shirt, whatever, there is like a high fashion darugi, an intentional darugi, I guess, that has evolved more recently. And you're probably unsurprised to learn that no matter what the reason you're wearing your darugi for, if you like going out in darugi, well then you're part of the darugi kaiwai. And that's basically it, but all this talking about darugi has made me darui, so